Sometimes in history, you enjoy great moments. You relive them and you live life. And beside me is a man who did that in an epic way many, many years ago. Do meet, and beside me, Paul Trevillion.
Nice to see you, Charles.
Nice to see you as well. And of course, between us is that man of a moment, of course, in this year, 150 years of celebration of our most, I suppose, important ever human being who graced our shores, for then king and country. Paul, there's a massive story here, and I'd love you now to share that story with me. How did it all begin?
When I was born in 1934, my mum recognised very quickly that I used to play with the gravy. And she used to say, look, he's drawing the dog, or look, he's drawing the horse. And so my dad said, look, give him a pencil. I got a pencil, and he gave me a piece of paper. And I did, he said, we got an artist. So from that moment on, that was my one aim in life, to be an artist.
How old were you then when your talent was first seen?
6 months.
Amazing. This was 1934.
1934, then you move on to 1939, and that's when war was declared.
And where were you then, Paul?
I was at St Francis de Sales School, and I still remember the teacher, Miss Stevens, coming in, and there was a huge photograph, a poster of Winston Churchill, and underneath it was, let's go forward together. And Miss Stevens would look at us and say, when the air raid warning sounds, you ought to make your way to the air raid shelter in the school playground. And I can remember being in there. And you could hear the attack guns going, boom, 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 boom. Could hear the planes. And the teacher would say, sing louder, because she wanted to drown out the sound of the bombs. Everybody was leaving London, getting evacuated, moving out.
Where did you go?
I actually went just the same distance, because I lived in Love Lane, Tottenham, and it was the same distance in the Tottenham Hotspur football ground where the grocery shop was. And that's what my dad took over. And I can remember when he said, hey, the window's been blown out. And we all come running down, me and my 3 brothers, in our pyjamas. And we look and the window's gone, and all the ration goods are thrown across the Tottenham High Road. But I couldn't sleep that night. All the next night. Because these were the raids. And then suddenly, I saw a photograph of Winston Churchill with the victory sign, with a big smile on his face. And I thought, we're gonna win. We're gonna beat Hitler. From that moment on, I never lost a night's sleep.
World War II finished. Fast forwards to when and what happened then in the early 1950s.
Graham Sutherland, the renowned portrait painter, was commissioned in 1954 to do a painting of Sir Winston Churchill for his 80th birthday.
80th birthday.
80th birthday.
1954. And of course,
That's it.
the most renowned artist at the time.
And it was presented to Winston Churchill, a public ceremony at Westminster Hall.
And what happened next?
He didn't like it, he put it to one side. And later he was quoted as saying, it made me look like a drunk that had been dragged out of the gutter. And that painting, after the ceremony, was taken back to Chartwell, his country home. Never put on display. But Lady Clementine, Churchill's wife, made sure that that was put on a bonfire. So I decided, I'm going to draw that face-off scene during the war. I started it in 54.
Right.
When I realised that the Graham Sutherland painting had ruined his birthday. And I was going to make sure that on his 81st birthday, he was going to have a good one.
So the boy from the Blitz, who was 6 years old at the start of 1939,
Correct.
You're now approaching 21 years old.
Got it.
In 1955, you're working, are you?
I'm working for Laszlo Honig.
Asahoni, the designer.
So I showed him my drawing of that face I'd carried in my head for all those years. And I said, look, this is how I've drawn Churchill. What do you think? And he said, it's magnificent.
And that's this picture here.
That's it.
That captured your view as a young boy, the boy from the Blitz.
Boy from the Blitz.
This captures what was the shining light of survival and winning World War II.
Absolutely.
Right, so you're 21 years old. He likes his portrait. What happened next?
Laszlo said, Paul, one of our clients, as you know, is Bernard Sundley. Well, he knows Churchill very well because he built over 100 airfields during the Second World War. So I will show him the portrait, and if he likes it, he will send it on to Churchill.
What happened next?
Suddenly sent it to Churchill, and I thought, well, I'm going to hear something sometime. I was working, I was designing something, and suddenly Laszlo came in, he said, quick! And he grabbed my arm, and he pulled me round. He said, Churchill's on the phone. And a voice said, Winston here, be at the Bernard Sundley buildings, 10:30, next Wednesday. Oblige!
So off you went.
And I remember walking into the room with Laszlo. Churchill looked at me and he said, I expected someone much older. When was you born? I said, 1934. He said, so you were 5 when war was declared with Germany. Was you evacuated? I said, no, I was never evacuated. He said, where was you living? I said, London. And he smiled and he said, so you're a boy from the Blitz. And he said, I like this painting very much. You've got the glint in my eye and you've got the smile. And that is what Clementina said has been missing of late. And I just stood there. I'm just looking at him. And he said, there's been lots of paintings of me by some very renowned artists. But this is the first one I've really liked. I mean, really liked. I heard myself saying it. I don't know why I said it. I said, can I have that in writing?
You didn't.
And he looked at me and he said, I'll do much more than that, young man. I will endorse it. I will sign it. I couldn't believe it. And then he looked at it again and he said, this should hang in the National Portrait Gallery, Trafalgar Square. What a thing, hey? That's
so he signed it just here.
That's where he signed it.
And how did you feel back then at that precise moment?
I was completely back during the wartime. I was looking again at those pictures of Winston Churchill smiling with the victory sign. And he said, remember, young man, every no takes you one step nearer a yes. Never give up. And I never have. I've lived that life. And I've lived by those words.
Just looking at your work now you did, and obviously we know it was crafted from its influence of going through those darkest hours in World War II. What is a medium, Paul?
It's just pen and ink.
All
and
pen
I
and ink.
didn't use any chalk.
There's no watercolour here at all?
No, I just licked my thumb and turned it round. Licked my thumb, turned it round. Licked my thumb and did it.
What's remarkable, it comes all the provenance, the correspondence from the time, from the meeting, etc., etc. And of course, to have that provenance, and we can see on the back, I think it was framed at the same time as well. But importantly, this is the only portrait which Churchill did ever sign. To endorse it, to give a pedigree, almost status, to the real man caught by you, Paul Trevellion. It really is, Paul, an honour, I think, with romance and drama, the theatre of what I think this portrait simply tells in the narrative, not of your life from boy from the Blitz to even now at 90 years old. It's an accolade, it's a tribulation, I think, not just to Churchill in this important year of anniversary, but to you as well, to give it a send-off. And of course, in our auction on the 20th of November at 9 p.m, we will be putting this picture to auction. I think for King and Country, for you and Churchill, I hope its legacy, memory and result lives on. And I sincerely hope it does go on display somewhere and can be enjoyed by the nation, how we've all just now enjoyed that passion and your emotion from all those years ago, from 1934. Paul Trevillion, thank you.
Thank you, Charles.